We are live! Hi everybody. We're back in the sewing studio. I know it's been a while. So I'm working on a new project and it's super duper exciting. Can anybody tell me if you love 90s vintage fashion? Because I do. And not just that, I love a red party dress. Do you hear me? This is what we're sewing up. This is Butterick Classics 6748. And look at, this is the one we're doing. This really cute sweetheart neckline with the leg slit, and it's gonna go all the way down to ankle length. So it's very, very fancy, and I'm in love with it because I think it looks just as good at a prom in the mid-90s as it will at a New Year's Eve party for New Year's Eve 2024, right? Now someone invite me to a party. All right, so what I've gotten done so far is I made a toile out of cotton, and the fabric that I'm using came from a thrift store. It was $5.99. It's a tablecloth, and it's like a polyester. So if any of you sew, and you don't have to sew to be welcome here. A lot of people like to watch me sew and hear me chat about it. But if you know anything about cotton versus polyester fabrics, cotton's got some more grip to it and a little more stability. Polyester and like satins and things like that that you make a formal dress or other more formal garments out of, it is slippery and it is sometimes shiny, and it behaves a lot differently than cotton does. So keeping that in mind, there's a number of things that happened when I was sewing up what's going to be the lining for this dress. Let me show you. First of all, did I mention we're sewing princess seams for the first time? Yes, we are. And it's a little terrifying because it's not easy. And it's the first time I've ever done princess seams. So this is just some really cheap, I picked this up at Walmart. It was like an $8 fabric cut of some kind of, who knows what. But this is pretty stretchy in both directions. And I had a little bit of trouble sewing these princess seams. So what was going on the whole way through was, can you see how there's like this puckering? It's so bad. Like, look at that. I could never, I mean, I guess I could. I don't think I would want to, but let's say if this was like the fabric I'd use for the dress, I would not like how that looks. So I did some reading and I found out that, first of all, let's say this. I'm hopeful that the red fabric is going to be a little bit easier to sew than this one. It does have some more stability. It's kind of like stretchy in one direction and less give to it in the other. So that might help. But also, I learned, whoa, that was close. I'm okay, Mom. There's needles called Microtex needles. And this can be helpful when you're sewing some kind of fabric like polyester or something that's, it's like what I understand, the Microtex is a super sharp point to it. And so it goes through the fabric more easily, and maybe it will help not get that puckering. But what I'm gonna do before we sew anything up is we're just gonna fiddle around and get the needle and the tension and the stitch length, all of those things, as good as we can to try to avoid puckering on this beautiful fabric. Hello, Gautam Osel. I am not hurt. Thank you for asking. I'm good. Welcome everybody. I'm so happy you're here. And look what we're sewing. We're sewing this dress. So beautiful. All right, so let's pop over to my machine. Close your eyes if you get dizzy. And I'm gonna work on some lighting over here as well. Flip you around. Okay. Hello, hello, Miss Dirty Gertie. This is my Singer Stylist 457. She is a vintage, she's a vintage singer from, I want to say 1958. And you'll notice right now I've got a walking foot on her. And sometimes, I mean, we're really going to start with, we're going to start at ground zero and just see how this is going to turn out. So a walking foot can help with slippery fabrics because it's then, like, typically you only have feed dogs at the bottom that's pushing the fabric through, but the walking foot adds feed dogs up top as well. So, it can help, like I've used this before to sew fleece fabric, and it was a big help. So fleece is a lot different than this kind of slippery polyester, but it's also a little slippery. And so let's give this a shot. Now, can you all see okay? I think so. Let me maybe move you. Let's try over here, okay? That's a better angle. Okay, so I haven't used my machine in quite a while, but let's fire her up. And I'm going to start with a stitch length of 12 stitches per inch. Drop the presser foot and let's start sewing. Okay, now, oh my goodness, what's happening? Let's take a closer look. So cut this out of here. All right, so here's the stitches. You can kind of see I'm using like a maroon, like a deep maroon thread. Oh, look at what we have here. So this is looking pretty good to me. This is just using a regular needle. And this is not looking bad to me. Let me make sure of a couple things. So one thing I'm doing wrong already is this is obviously the selvage edge. So this is the direction of the fabric that isn't going to stretch much, whereas this direction is going to stretch a little bit more. And I can't really demonstrate that too well. Here, let me do it with this one. This isn't really stretching, and this has like a little more give to it. It's actually not even, I mean, this, I think this is gonna go so much better than the other fabric, you guys. I'm super, super optimistic about this. Just this little test strip is making me feel like really good about this project. So, no puckering that I can tell. I don't even know if we need to switch needles. What do you guys think? I do think the walking foot is going to help. I hope it is. But let's get started. Now, someone posted in chat, Gokhan Ozil. I don't know why I'm watching this channel. I think you're watching because you have a deep desire to learn how to sew. I never knew I wanted to sew until, like, I don't know, how many years ago was it? I just put it out to the universe and it didn't like actually come true until how many years later? It was like probably, I don't know, like 8 years later. I was like in a thrift store and I saw a sewing machine and I was like, yes, yes, yes. Let me bring this machine home. And ever since then, I've been hooked on sewing and vintage sewing machines and especially vintage fashion. Okay, so I'm sorry for the rustling. I'm just taking off this is like the paper that you use to trace the pattern for your fabric. So that is coming off and I'm gonna show you the first step of putting our dress together. I did cut out all the fabric already, so that's a big part of the project and I'm glad it's done. All right, so this is what we're going to start with. This is the front center part of the dress, so this is where your neck would go. And then this is going to be done as a stay stitch, which means that I'm going to use like, I could probably do 12 stitches per inch again for that, maybe a little bit shorter. And this is only going through one layer of fabric. We're not attaching any pieces to each other. We're just doing this to help it so that it's not going to stretch out. So I showed you, like, I was kind of pulling in the, I guess you could say like north-south direction and east-west direction. Your fabric is going to be the most stretchy when you stretch it diagonally. And I actually don't want to stretch it that way because it's going to make it stretch out, and that's not a good thing. So that's exactly why we're doing this stay stitching. It's going to help to stabilize the fabric, and down the line it's not going to stretch, because this is where the actual princess seams are going to go. Like, this part is going to be right near my apex, and this is going to be really crucial to stay stitch side edges of front above waistline as shown. So one thing I did already was I did tailor's tacks in here to mark where different parts of the pattern are. I did not mark where the waistline is, and I regret doing that. So let me do that really quickly here, just to be a little bit cautious. Well, not even caution, let's just be complete. Why not? All right, so waistline, and I'm just gonna put a little snip there in the fabric, right there, and right here. Okay. I prefer to go back, like if there's something that I leave out, I'd rather go back and fix it rather than regret like not doing it, and then it bites me down the line. I'm gonna put you over here so that I can move this fabric through here a little more easily. Okay, so this is gonna be our stay stitching, and I kind of feel like maybe I should pop in the Microtex needle. What do you guys think? Should I do it or should I not? Now, let me see here. This whole pattern uses 5/8 inch seam allowance. For the stay stitching, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do that at, let's do it at 1/2 inch. So I have a little nifty tool here, which is just a magnetic seam guide. I'm gonna pop that down here. Basically what I'm trying to explain is that we don't want the stay stitching to be visible on the outside of the dress, right? So it needs to be within the seam allowance and not showing once we put this puppy together. Okay, let's get started. I feel like, all right, this is not going too badly. We're gonna sew up until here. So we got a little further to go. And I like to go slow around the curves, so let me slow down. And I'm trying not to let my fabric stretch just from like the weight of the fabric hanging off the sewing table. And at the end here, I'm just going to backstitch. And that's our first stay stitching. And I'm really going to be careful pulling this out here because, again, I don't want to stretch any of my fabric. Hi, everybody. Are you working on any fun sewing projects? I'm working on a glam dress. Okay, so let's get a look on this. It's not bad. Like up here in particular, it looks really good. It's nice and flat. Around the edge here, there is a tiny little bit of like, you're probably not gonna be able to see. And I might be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? More critical of myself than I need to be. So now this is going to be interesting. Previously I was sewing on the wrong side of the fabric, and now I have a couple options. I could put this on the other side and sew the other margin, or I'm going to do what I'm doing, and that is just flip the fabric so that it is now right side facing up. Typically you don't sew it that way, but that's fine. That's fine for this. Okay, let's go. Oh, geez, you know what? This is rough. I made a little mistake here. Actually, it might be rectifiable. I was getting caught like this. I think the tailor's tack that I did to mark a dot was getting caught on my walking foot, and the fabric was getting all bunched up back there. So I think I saved it, which is cool. But you gotta be careful about stuff like that. Okay. Slow around the curve again. Oh my god. It feels like it's speeding up around the curve and I don't want it to. Here we go. Slow down. All right, one more and then let's get our back stitch in here. I didn't back stitch at the beginning and I don't really feel like I need to. It usually doesn't hurt though. Okay. Unless you're doing... what's happening here? Okay, this looks pretty good. So let's get this snipped out of here. Hi everybody, how you doing tonight? We are sewing because there's a lot of stuff going on in my head. And sewing is a nice release. All right, this I don't love, gang. See how, like, can you see okay? Yeah, you can see it pretty well, actually. See how we're getting some crinkling there? It's like, and that's just because the fabric is unstable, and it didn't help me, really, that I cut these notches in here, because that's further making it so, like, these guys want to stretch. They can easily get stretched and pulled apart. All right, but I'm going to take this as a win, and, hopefully, down the line, when we do our princess seams, the puckering won't be so noticeable. And I might be able to, I don't know. It's good enough, gang. It's good enough. Let's move on to what our next step is going to be. And I've got no clue what it is because I got to turn the page over. All right, so let me see here. I don't even know that we're looking at the right instructions, to be honest. There's A, B, C, and D. And what version are we sewing up again? We're doing this guy, D. All right, so we are good. Now, ooh, this is so exciting. Our next is going to be a big deal, and this could be a super long seam. When you do dresses that are this long, the seams can get really long. So here we go. Next step is for views B, C, and D. Ooh, this is exciting. Okay, so because we have the slit in the leg here, we need to reinforce this with something. And basically, like, you know, imagine you're walking around. This is your princess seam here. This is your slit. And you get up or, you know, you're dancing. It's like, oops, it just ripped up the seam. You don't want that to happen. So the way around it is to reinforce it. And what we're going to do for that, it looks like we're going to cut 2 pieces of seam binding, 2 inches long. On the wrong side, pin it to the front and left side front section, centering over the large dots as shown. All right, so I didn't mark all my dots, but we're going to need piece 6 and piece 2 for this. So 6 is the one we were just working on. And let me see if I have that part marked. I think I do. I hope I do. Did I only mark one side? No, I marked both. All right, so let me do this real quick. You're not going to see me. Let me spin you around, because isn't it fun to try on dresses even when they're not put together yet? So here is what we got. This is going to be the neckline, and then this tailor's tack all the way down here. See if I can get you down there. Right here is where the leg slit is going to be. And honestly, do I want it to be that low? I feel like I kind of want it to go up a little higher. How risky should we get, friends? I'm petite, and, you know, this is about where the neckline is going to be. And that means it would be up to here. I don't know. Let's, what do we think? I love this red. This is going to be so pretty if I can get these princess seams good to go. Oh, it's going to be so good. All right, well, I'm kind of feeling like since I already tacked there, I'm going to just keep it the same. I don't want to like measure something wrong or mess it up. So you guys can come over here and let me get that other piece. Oh, we got a comment from Stella Croker. I'm a fellow zebra who also sews to escape too many thoughts buzzing around. Hope you're doing as well as you can. I hope you're doing as well as you can too, Stella. That's a beautiful note to receive. Okay, so let me grab, what did I say? Piece 2 is the one we need. Sorry for the rustling if you're sensitive to the sounds there. I can't believe I almost ate it at the beginning of this video. That would have been awful. I feel like, can someone in the audience call 911? All right, so this is piece 2, and what this is, it's the side front, right? So I just showed you center front standing up. This is the side, and let's take a look, because I get right and left confused all the time, especially when I'm like sewing. So it looks like the leg slit is in her left leg, okay? So let's get that straight in my mind, and let's get front and back side of the fabric all worked out so that I don't end up having to repeat my work or do the wrong thing and then have to undo it. So this is right side of our fabric. That would make this side be the left front. So this is where we're going to reinforce. And that means that I'm going to pull out this other, I'm going to double check. I'm going to pull out this other tailor's tack because we're not putting any reinforcement on that side. Now, see, these, unfortunately, I didn't get all my clippings done and all of that because I was sort of not rushing per se, but with sewing and often with life, things end up taking me a lot longer than I expect them to. So thanks for your patience as I just cut some of these notches out. And yeah, we already identified, because the way the fabric is, the notches aren't ideal. But the notches are there because we need to be able to align our pattern pieces and be able to connect them at the proper places. So I mean, I could try using a marker pen. I kind of strayed away from that just because the fabric is dark, and also because I'm not planning to wash this dress. I did not pre-wash the tablecloth material, and it's not something that, like, after sewing it up, I would want to wash. Like, I probably would send it out for dry cleaning. Or I would just do what I usually do, just like, oh, I wore it, I'll just air it out. And maybe wear it again in 3 years. Is anyone else guilty of that? Or do you all get your dry cleaning taken care of? I can't tell you the last time I dry cleaned anything. So yeah, that's just me. It's hard to cut this fabric. It's hard to do much of anything with it. And I'm, again, going to apologize for the rustling of this paper. I'm trying to put 3 notches. Okay, good. I got them. I got them. And it frays, and it's just kind of... Polyester is not easy to work with. Sometimes I do, like, sewing contests. And I did one... There's a website called patternreview.com. And they had a... Okay, let me focus. They had a contest earlier this year. And it was like, the challenge was to use a slippery fabric and sew something amazing. And I'm like, slippery fabric, sewing, nope, count me out. I'm not going to even attempt that contest. And the things that people sewed up was amazing. I always love like voting and looking at the competition pieces, even if I don't participate. There's a contest going on now. Let me try to remember, or it's being judged now. And there is another contest that just started up. But the one being judged now, let me try to remember. How about instead I tell you the one that started now. It started November 1st, and I think it runs through like late or mid-December. Because you're not just sewing one piece and competing, you're sewing 5 pieces, 5 garments, and the challenge is like a capsule wardrobe. So, I signed up for this contest, but honestly, I do not expect to be able to sew 5 garments between now and December, whatever. Like, it would probably take me from now until next year to sew 5 garments. So, I'm probably not going to be participating, but sometimes it's good to challenge yourself. And so that's what I love about the contest. It's like, well, I don't know if I'm going to finish it, but if I do, I do. And if I don't, I'm like, well, you know, I got some work done on a sewing project, and that's always cool because I love not having deadlines. And for example, this dress I'm working on, right? Ideally, I was planning to sew it up and wear it to a wedding that was in mid-September. Didn't get it done. I got the lining done. I got the toile to fit fairly well, but like, and I knew it. I'm like, well, I'm probably not going to get it done, but if I do, I'll have a great dress to wear. So I ended up not wearing the planned dress, and my backup plan was another amazing dress I sewed. It's actually, let me flaunt this, it was a competition winner on patternreview.com because it was amazing. It turned out so good. It was the second dress I had sewn, right? Let me think. This is the 3rd dress I'm sewing. And oh my God, it's such a good dress. And it's not just the dress. I sewed a matching hat. Oh, the hat isn't in here. I would pop it on. Anyway, you can look at my other videos. That one was a vintage, like one of the retro reproductions. And oh my God, it was so pretty. The contest was peach fuzz. So you had to sew up a garment, anything you wanted, but it had to be the Pantone color of the year, which was peach fuzz. It's like a peachy pinky color, really pretty. And that was another thrifted fabric that I found. It was not a tablecloth, but it was like some kind of brocade. I can't remember exactly. Okay, let me stop talking about that because I need to focus. Now, what I need is for this piece that's going to be on the left side, I need that one to be the one that's going to get a tailor's tack because that's where I'm trying not to mess anything up, and that is also where, did I mark all of these? Okay, so once I get them all marked, I'm just going to take these pins out because I have to separate them. Do I need to mark the waistline on this? I know I did for the front. No, I don't need to mark the waistline because the front is, it got the stay stitches, but the back. Wait, are we getting stay stitches here? No, that's weird. Okay. Good. Let me get this over here. Okay. So, this is starting to come unpinned. Let's keep unpinning this. I don't know if you all can see okay. You can see a little bit, that's fine. Keep you in shrouded mystery of all of the things happening in the sewing stable, as we call it here. Okay, so I think all my pins are out. Now let me figure out what piece of this do we need? And of course there's one remaining pin that I forgot. Okay. Alright, so this is wrong side that I'm looking at, making this the right side. Just found another pin. Wait a sec. It's so confusing. Alright, so, oh my gosh, I'm super confused. This is gonna be tricky. Let me get eyes on this. So Princess seams, it's not like, you know, this one is curved this way, and then there's like a piece that goes in here. It's like one is curved one way and the other one is curved the opposite way, and it's super duper confusing. So this is why these notches matter, because the triple notch is where they're going to get connected. And again, this is right side shiny and that's wrong side dull. So what we got, this is the right, physical right side of the garment. And this, my friends, this is the left side. And this is the one that's going to get a tailor's tack, and it's going to get reinforced for the leg slit. I'm double checking that. And I'm 100% positive that that is the correct side and the correct orientation. So, just to be thorough here, I'm going to put in a tailor's tack, because the risk of having it in the wrong spot or forgetting where it goes is just not something I want to worry about. Do you guys know what tailor's tacks are? It's basically just taking some thread and popping it through your fabric. And it's rather than just using like chalk or something. Oh my god, if I had chalk, this would be so much easier. The only marking system that I have is ballpoint, like, you know, the heat friction pens. Popcorn. Let the ants get it. Did you guys know I have a sewing machine? His name is Richard Gere. Richard Gere. He likes to party in the corner with the ants. So when we come back in the sewing room the next time, it's always ant season here. We kind of just get them twice a year, but I just guarantee that there's going to be ants all over that piece of popcorn, and they're going to be partying with Richard Gere, who just moved to Spain. Did you all hear that? Makes me kind of sad. Okay. Well, are we going to sew some seams now? Oh my gosh. Are we already at the step of sewing princess seams? I'm scared of princess seams. And I'm also scared about how much pinning princess seams are going to take. No, we're not at the step of princess seams. We're reinforcing our fabric. Duh, Terry. You're so forgetful. Okay, so I think what I can use for this is just some like bias tape. And I feel like that would be a pretty good, well, I don't know. Is it a pretty good thing to use? This is double fold bias tape. And let's see what they're saying in the instructions. What does this look like again? They are saying to use seam binding, which is basically bias tape, right? And it's going to be pinned on the wrong side, because obviously we don't want to see it. And we're going to center it over the large dot. We're cutting it 2 inches long. So I think this is going to work. Let me see if yeah, we're going to do this. I feel good about the bias tape. Now, I can measure 2 inches over here. That'll be our first one. This will be our second one. This is so exciting. All right. So, how do we want to sew this on here? I mean, I definitely don't want it to show through. It's not going to show at all because it's going to be within the seam line. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to like, I kind of tend to overthink things sometimes, but it's like, how thick do we want this to be? Like, they're not saying like overlap it or anything, but we really just want something thick that's going to hold, that's not going to rip. So I'm almost tempted to just do the whole thing. But the downside of that is I don't want it to be showing it all through the material. So I think we're going to be fine the way it is. I really do. All right. So having said that, let's get to the wrong side. Can you see me okay? I think you can. We're going to get to the wrong side of the fabric, and this is getting sewn like in the middle. And I'm trying to think in my head how this is going to look. Like, let me show you a little bit closer. And do we really just need to like dive this deep? Maybe not, but I'm kind of curious. So this is going to be our leg slit. This is going to be our seam, right? It's going to be holding the two pieces together. And then this is going to be open. And this is going to like fold down, and that'll be our leg slit. So, no, this is actually going to be lined. Oh my goodness. This is really, really a mind twister. What I'm planning to do, since the dot was here and they said put it in the middle, I'm just literally going to put it in the middle. So it's like an inch above, an inch below, and it's in the center of this part as well. Okay. So let me, I guess I'll throw a pin in there to hold it. And kind of want to take the tailor's tack out now because I feel like I could get caught on that when I'm sewing. All right, so there's our first one, wrong side. Now the second one is down here. You all are so patient, thank you. I love it when things go slow and aren't stressful, and I'm not rushing. All right, this is going to get pinned right here, and we're going to take out the tailor's tack. All right, let's do some sewing. Close your eyes if you get dizzy. And you know, I kind of feel like since we did have a little bit of trickiness, just trying to think if I want to switch my needle. I'm going to switch my needle, and I think I'm going to be really happy that I do. That means I'll have to do a little more practice stitches. And I'm also wondering, I mean, I like the walking foot, but I want to get this as good as I can. Like, I really, really want these seams to look beautiful. And so, oops, see these long pieces. And this fabric has some heft to it. That's what makes it like flow so nicely. Get you over here for a second. And what am I gonna do? Because I paid money for these Microtex needles that I now seem to have lost. I'm like, let me change my needle. And I'm like, where did my needle go? Here it is. I'm gonna pop one of these guys in. A Schmetz Microtex. This is an 8012. And I'm pretty sure that's what I have in here right now, an 8012 needle. And I've never used a Schmetz needle before, but people rave over them. And my EDS fingers are having trouble getting this stupid thing out of the case. Any tips on how to do that? Oh my goodness. Is this a joke? Come on out and play. Okay, we got it. Oh my goodness. Tricky, tricky. All right, I'm gonna take this out of here. Oh no, we're gonna have to thread a needle. What needle did I even have in here? A yellow one. No, it's just an 8012 universal. Okay. Not exciting, but you gotta bear with me. This is going to be an 8012 Microtex. If you don't know how to put a needle into a machine, the flat side is usually going to face towards the back. Let me get my thread out of the way. Ooh, we're going to have a nice sharp needle if I can get it in here. This is like one of my hardest things. The hardest thing is changing the foot on, well, one of my difficult things is changing the foot. Why can't I get this up there? Do you know how frustrating it is to have hand problems? It's super frustrating. I was doing a, yay, we got it. I was doing, okay, so I don't know, are any of you guys into the moon or like crystals or any kind of like, I want to use the term woo-woo, but any kind of like, I don't know if metaphysical is the word, like anything cool like that, because I recently got into it and I'm freaking loving it. I started following the moon, the waxing, the waning, the full moon, the new moon, and each month I do a moon chart, and it basically is like different things that I'm focusing on that month. What kind of things am I letting go of? What kind of things am I inviting into my life? And how did I start talking about this? Oh, because I had ordered, like, I don't do tarot myself, but I'll listen to like tarot readings online and things like that. And I get oracle decks, which is basically like, you know, one of my favorite ones is like you can, what's the word I'm looking for? Here, let me just do single since that's what we're doing now. Like an animal spirit oracle deck is one of my favorite decks. So let me just sew this real quick and then I'll finish the story. This is a Microtex needle. Let's take a peek at how this turns out. I think it looks pretty good. I'm not sure if I'm noticing a difference, but we also just did it along, this is like along the grain line. Oracle deck, oracle deck. Oh, okay, crystals. All right, so I had ordered an oracle deck. It's like Earth Magic or something like that. And I got it on Poshmark, which I often shop on Poshmark. It's often used things for like pretty good prices. So I got that deck, and the woman who sent it was kind enough to also send me a little, oh my gosh, you guys. So I'm like in love with the moon. And of course, she sent me what's called a white moonstone. And I don't know anything about crystals or stones or any of the energies, but let me try doing like a diagonal line and see what that looks like. So today, my hand and wrist and thumb pain is all like really bad. I just marked the 10-year anniversary of my hand, forearm, elbow, these huge series of surgeries that I had on my upper extremities. 10 years. It was 10 years ago. And they were hurting today, as they often do. And I took this moonstone and I was putting it on all my surgical scars and just kind of rubbing this really beautiful, like smooth, it's kind of like, you know, like the shape of a dice. It was almost shaped like that. And I was getting all my scars with it. And I was just like, you've done such a good job trying to hold me together for 10 years. Okay, so the Microtex needle is in. It looks good. And long story short, I'm grateful for my hands, even though they're not the way I'd like them to be. I think this is good. We're going to go with it. Let's go with it. And we're at 45 minutes here. I always tell myself I'm going to do like 20 or 30 minutes, and then I go longer. And guys, we barely got anything done. But let's do a little bit more. And it's slow and steady. That's good. You can't rush the sewing, in my experience. I can't anyway. So we're not in a race. I'm literally not trying to sew 5 garments in a month and a half. Other people might be challenging themselves to that. And even though I'm in the contest, I'm not putting any pressure on myself. Okay, so this, let's, I'm going to sew like a square around this. And I'm going to change my needle so that it's like this direction. And then this way, I'm just gonna sew over. I say needle, but I mean to say pin. I'm gonna sew over my pin. And this machine should be able to handle it because she is so strong. She's a strong lady. All right, Dirty Gertie, get to work. Now, I'm good here. I'm just gonna lift up the presser foot, 90-degree turn. Whoops. Do one back stitch. I feel like I went a little further than I wanted to. And now we're gonna get that to swirl around again. Try to get everything flat. And let me make sure I don't have any additional layers under there that don't belong. I'm also trying not to stretch my fabric. Press her foot down. Oops, I'm still in reverse. Take that pin out now. Okay, here we go. And I'm just gonna hand crank the last couple so I don't go too far. Lift it up and then get our last little edge here. Okay. And reverse. Reverse, reverse. Okay. Donezo. We are donezo. This looks good. So this is going to be where that slit's going to end, like right here somewhere. And that way it's not going to rip. It's not going to rip. Have you ever had a dress rip on you? I used to compete horseback riding when I was in college, and you have to wear, like, to horse shows, well, for all horseback riding, you usually wear, like, for English riding, tight, stretchy pants. And almost every year when I competed in college, there would be a poor girl whose pants would rip up the back seam. And it would just be like, you know, you would feel so awful for her misfortune. And oh my gosh, this was like everyone, well, this was in the 2000s and thongs were a thing. So, you know, you'd see a girl with like her poor butt hanging out. And how did I start talking about this? Oh, your clothes ripping. Hopefully it'll never happen to you. Uh-oh. That felt like a struggle to get that pin under there, so let me get that out of here now. There's like so many embarrassing stories about like clothing malfunctions. If you have any good ones, let me know in the chat. Or let me know in the comments. I'll post this video as on demand after the live stream ends, but it usually takes a few hours to get up, sometimes a day or so. Okay, let's keep going. Whoa. I kind of feel like I'm rushing this one and it's not as good as the first one, but I'm also thinking to myself, it's going to be good enough. Whoops, I keep putting it in reverse and forgetting I'm in reverse. Rookie mistake. And then, oh, my tension on this machine. I need to adjust it. My goodness, am I stuck on something? What is happening? Here we go. Okay. Donezo. We got our reinforcement there. Now, are we up to the princess seam step? Because if we are, you know what I'm going to say to you all. Good night, and thanks for watching. We got so much done, and there's so much more to come, and I'm super excited that we're sewing this together, guys. I'm so excited. I live stream Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, and this is the latest project. It's gonna be so hot, so hot. Thanks for watching. Happy sewing, happy creating, happy crafting. Have a great week.